Who won the week in AI? This week, 3 labs made their moves, and one came out ahead. First, Cursor. Cursor 3 turns the IDE into an agent orchestration layer. Cursor 3 launched April 2nd, redesigning the IDE around autonomous agent execution. Developers can now run multiple agents in parallel across separate repositories, one updating front-end components, while another patches a back-end service. A new IDE best event command runs the same task across multiple models in isolated work trees and compares results. Agents move fluidly between local and cloud execution, continuing when the laptop is closed. This is not an incremental IDE update. It is a different product category. The IDE has been the developer's primary interface for decades. Cursor 3 repositions it as a coordination layer for agents, rather than a text editor. Competitors building incrementally on the existing single-developer, single-file interaction model are now defending a category that Cursor has explicitly moved beyond. Watch how GitHub Copilot and VS Code respond. Both are architecturally built around the interaction model Cursor 3 supersedes. The enterprise adoption numbers suggest this is already a procurement-level conversation, not just a developer preference. Cursor hits 2B ARR and raises it near $60 billion valuation. AnySphere confirmed this week it is in talks to raise $2 billion at a valuation between $50 and $60 billion, up from $29.3 billion in November 2025. The company reached $2 billion in annualized revenue in February 2026, growing from $100 million ARR in January 2025, a 20x increase in 14 months. Enterprise now accounts for 60% of revenue, with more than half of Fortune 500 companies, including NVIDIA, Uber, and Adobe, deploying Cursor across engineering teams. A $60 billion valuation on $2 billion ARR is a 30x revenue multiple. Aggressive, but defensible given the growth rate. More significant is the enterprise revenue mix. When 60% of revenue is corporate rather than individual subscriptions, the product has crossed from developer tool to enterprise infrastructure. That shift makes the business substantially more defensible against free alternatives. At $60 billion, Cursor is larger than many publicly traded software companies. An IPO or strategic acquisition becomes a live question for 2026. Neither scenario happens unless growth holds through Q2 and Q3. The next revenue data point will be closely watched. Next, Anthropic and Claude Code. Claude Mythos tops SWE-bench at 93.9% and will not be released. Claude Mythos preview recorded 93.9% on SWE-bench verified, a 13.1 percentage point improvement over Claude Opus 4.6's 80.8%, and the highest score ever recorded on the benchmark. The model demonstrates it can autonomously fix 93.9% of real GitHub issues pulled from production open source repositories. Despite the result, Anthropic will not make Mythos generally available, a first for the company, which has consistently shipped its frontier models commercially. The restriction stems from Project Glasswing. Mythos autonomously discovered and exploited zero-day vulnerabilities across major operating systems, making the dual-use risk too high for general release. For developers, this means the most capable AI coding model ever built is inaccessible. The benchmark proves what Anthropic can build. It says nothing about what Claude Code users can do today. Mythos access is limited to a small group of cybersecurity defense partners. The open question is whether Anthropic can strip or sandbox the security capabilities to release a coding-only variant, or whether the capabilities are inherently inseparable. No timeline has been given. Claude Code Routines fire on GitHub events without DevOps overhead. Anthropic launched Claude Code Routines on April 14th, cloud-hosted automation tasks that run on Anthropic's infrastructure without requiring local machines to stay on. A routine bundles a prompt, repository connections, and triggers, then executes automatically. Triggers include cron schedules, HTTP webhook endpoints, and GitHub repository events covering pull requests, pushes, issues, check runs, releases, and merge queue. Pro users get 5 routines per day. Team and enterprise users get 25. A 45-second routine costs approximately $0.01 in runtime plus model tokens. Routines sit between GitHub Actions and Devon. More capable than scheduled scripts, less autonomous than a full agent. The practical use cases are PR review on every commit, nightly test failure analysis, and issue triage. At 0.001 per short run, the economics work for high-frequency maintenance tasks that currently fall through the cracks. The initial trigger list is limited to GitHub events and schedules. Watch for Linear, Jira, and Slack integrations. Those additions would make routines relevant to the full development lifecycle rather than just the Git workflow. Run duration limits also currently cap task complexity. And finally, OpenAI or Codex. GPT 5.3 Codex merges reasoning and coding into one agentic model. GPT 5.3 Codex combined OpenAI's reasoning model stack with its dedicated coding model lineage into a single system that runs 25% faster than its predecessor. The model handles long-horizon agentic tasks, operating autonomously over millions of tokens, building and iterating on software without step-by-step confirmation. GPT 5.4, which shipped in March, extends this with experimental 1 million token context window support in Codex, enabling whole repository analysis in a single context. The historical trade-off in AI coding tools has been speed versus reasoning depth. Fast models miss context. Reasoning models are too slow for interactive use. Merging both training stacks at 25% faster speed changes that equation for production pipelines. The 1M context window, when it stabilizes, enables security audits, large-scale refactors, and dependency migrations that currently require multiple sequential prompts. The 1M context window in GPT 5.4 Codex is currently experimental. Stability in Q2 would unlock a new class of whole code-based tasks. Watch for developer tooling that wraps this capability for non-API users. OpenAI ships a purpose-built security model for AppSec teams. OpenAI released GPT 5.4 Cyber this week, a variant of GPT 5.4 optimized for defensive cybersecurity tasks, including binary reverse engineering, vulnerability analysis, and security research. Access requires application and approval. Vetted security professionals can reach it via the API now. GPT 5.4 Cyber and Claude Mythos both target the security research use case this week, but from opposite directions. Anthropic built the most capable model and locked it down. OpenAI built a dedicated variant and opened vetted access. For AppSec engineers, the OpenAI path is the only accessible one today. The vetted access model is a transitional posture. Expect either broader release or tighter restriction as the community validates the guardrails. OpenAI has indicated broader availability will follow as the access model matures. The more interesting long-run question is whether purpose-built security AI becomes a standalone product category or gets absorbed into general-purpose frontier models as safety controls improve. And this week's winner, Cursor. Cursor shipped a re-architected product that redefines what an IDE is and backed it with 2B ARR, 50-60B in new funding talks, and 60% enterprise revenue share. Anthropic's Mythos benchmark is technically the highest score ever recorded on SWE-bench, but Anthropic chose not to release it. Impressive capability, zero developer impact this week. OpenAI's Codex updates are real improvements on a roadmap. Cursor has already moved beyond. New episode every week. Follow Under the Prompt for the weekly AI breakdown.